blood. You are all my children now.
You want to know what happens to an eyeball when it gets splintered? You got any idea how much blood jets out of a guy's neck?
You've come back to us, Michael. So you can stop the rage.
Jason is alive. We dug up his body. I was gonna cremate it.
Whoa. What's your name, son?
Well, Tommy Jarvis, but look, we've got to do something. He's even more powerful now.
Aren't you the kid whose mother and friends were killed by that maniac?
Yeah. Jason murdered them.
I've been in some psychiatric clinic ever since.
We'll tear your soul apart.
Get me back my head! Don't be afraid.
No. Be afraid. Be very afraid.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Retro Blood as we start a new month here in October, continuing the Halloween extravaganza month. And you can even say it's a new beginning for the Retro Blood. You know what I mean?
What you did there.
You like what I did there? Because we are continuing the Friday the 13th 1980 series here on the Retro Blood. You all thought it was over last month. You thought it was over with the final installment? Well, we tricked you, brother, because we are back and it's a new beginning. If you are like troubled teens who like to have sex and get killed really quick, if you are like cocaine, if you are like weed, a lot of weed, a lot of cocaine. All right, if you like Jason with the blue mask. All right, if you like Tommy disappearing a lot in the film and showing up at the end, this is the review for you, brother, because the Retro Blood is talking all about Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. Jay, Alison, James Kline, what's up? What's up, Alison? How do you feel about this new beginning? It's October. We are here, brother. What's happening?
Well, man, you know how that I love troubled teens who like to have sex. So I'm all about
and cocaine too, and weed.
Movie. And yeah.
You gotta make sure you add that.
Yeah, to add that in. Yeah. So I don't know if I've ever seen this movie before.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know if I'd ever watched it. I mean, I knew about it, but I don't know if I ever watched it before. But this movie, in my opinion, is way better than its reputation.
Yes, I'll give them that too, because this one is like I wouldn't say it's like the bastard child of the whole Friday the 13th series, because if you get past the 80s and you do that X one, it's a little rough. But this one at the time, wasn't it wasn't looked upon fondly, but it wasn't a bad movie though. It actually had a lot of cool parts to it that I thought that was really fun. There's a lot of backstory that we're going to talk about in this film, why it was made and what the original title was and how they kind of tricked all the actors into into making this movie as well too. But I can see where people were like, okay, this one we're trying to take it in a new direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It necessarily didn't work for a Friday the 13th film. That's why, like, later on, we go back to the more traditional format. But I thought for this standalone style movie, I thought it was fine. I actually, there's like a little soft spot I have for this movie. Like you were saying, and I agree with you. It gets a bad rap, but I don't think it's as bad as people are saying.
No, it's definitely not. And it's kind of the last, in my opinion, it's the last real Friday the 13th movie.
Well, brother, we haven't even got to number 6 yet.
No, but so when I say that, what I mean is, to me, the Friday the 13th movies are gritty and grimy and just kind of dirty. And you get that from 1, 2, even 3 and 4 still have that dark, Jason is a serial killer, scary kind of vibe. It's not, we're not pulling for Jason yet. And that's what I think. Like I've mentioned this before during when we did the Nightmare movies, or the Freddy movies, as people call them, that at some point, the killer, the bad guy of the movie, becomes so popular that he becomes the hero and people start pulling for him. And that's when it just becomes bullshit to me. And that would happen in Friday the 13th Part 6. But here, people are still scared of Jason. And that's why I say it's the last real Friday movie.
Well, yeah. But then again, we got a swerve, though.
We do have a swerve.
Was it really Jason? I don't know. We'll see.
No, I guess we'll find out.
We'll see when we get there, brother.
Yeah, all of a sudden, you don't want to spoil the ending for people, but okay. That's fine. We'll talk
I only
about
spoil it sometimes. It depends what mood I am. So I'm not drinking beer on the podcast. Usually when I drink beer, I just spoil everything. But right now, I'm being my best white girl, and I'm having a pumpkin spice coffee.
Oh, look at you!
It's the season, man. It's October. You know what I mean? You got the pumpkin spice.
You're such a basic white girl.
Am I the? I'm like what's her name? Robin. You know what I mean? From this film. You know what I mean? She seemed like the basic white girl, and I had this I got the pumpkin spice, but the only thing that was flirting on me was apple spice or something, like our boy Jake was flirting on her. All right, you like that?
Jesus Christ. Pumpkin spice. What the fuck's wrong? What has happened to you,
bro? It's good shit, man. I like it. But I don't like pumpkin pie at all. But I like pumpkin spice drinks, and I like pumpkin spice donuts. All right, that's my white girl for the day.
All right, fine.
So we got a lot to talk about.
We do.
There's a ton going on around this time in metal and the wrestling, and what's going on with this movie too. And once I talk about the wrestling stuff, it really put my mind in perspective of like just how crazy this is. And I'll talk about it here in a second. But like every Retro Blood, we talk about what's going on in the world of pro wrestling and the metal music. The reason we do that is because they all mix together. Usually, if you're a fan, you like metal, you like pro wrestling, you're definitely going to like horror movies. So they all mix together. That's why we do that here on this podcast, brother. We like to create a whole weekend for everybody. And so this movie was released 1 year after the final installment, brother. So, we had the final Jason ever. And then 1 year later, we got another film, because, it kind of, wrestling kind of works out like that too. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, brother, I'm going to retire this year and then I'm going to be back the next. Don't worry about it. Uh-huh. So this one was released March 22nd, 1985. Which if somebody's been listening to this podcast for a while, y'all know I love the 1985 year. Not because I was born in it, because there was a lot of cool shit happening at the time. And I feel like we talked about this before, Alison, is I feel like this year in pro wrestling and metal music, they really start to amp shit up. Am I correct?
That's true. So I would say 84, 85 is when the 80s became the thing that we love about it. And it wouldn't last very long.
Yeah.
But, like the bands that we love started getting big around this time, or started, coming out with music around this time. The wrestling started getting really good. 85 is like the Jim Crockett year. I mean, that's like, the year that they started getting huge.
And the WWF too.
All the great people. And the WWF. So 84, 85 is like banner. Those are banner years in the 80s, in my opinion.
So speaking of the WWF, I want to talk a little bit about the wrestling that I saw. And like I said, if anybody's been watching this podcast or listening to this podcast for a good amount of time, y'all know I like the Tuesday Night Titans Vince McMahon talk show. Okay, bro. Like
yes.
if I had unlimited time and money, I would do a whole podcast series just talking about Tuesday Night Titans, and I would review every episode. All right, it's been on the back of my mind for a long time, and one day I might bite the bullet because I love these episodes. I think they're just so, like, it's like corny, but it's also cool at the same time to me. You know what I mean? And I don't know if y'all feel like that too. Like all of our wrestling fans on here. But I thought they're cool because like it's like a different environment, and I feel like something like this is like almost missing in wrestling today because I feel like I get more character development by watching this show than I do watching like Raw or some shit. You know what I mean?
Well, there's no character development now.
Yeah. Or like
I
you know,
can't even tell
definitely
you
AEW.
what's happening on SmackDown. Oh well, yeah.
Fucking AEW
Yeah,
Collision, you got people on there like, who are you? Like, it's like, bro, just get a talk show. Just put them. Like, we kind of have that a little bit. Like, you can watch that Hey AEW thing, but it's like they don't have something like this. You know what I mean? Like, just give them an hour block. Just have them come on there, do a bunch of interviews. Like, I mean, I don't know if it would be popular or not nowadays. I just don't know. Because we have, like, podcasts now. You know, back in the day here, like, this is like, if you watch this, you would actually see these guys speak, you know. This is just a really good format for the time period. Like, I know back in the day of 1985, I'd definitely be a fan of this show because I like the character development in it. But, you know, before I go on a long tirade about that, let's get into the show. So this aired the exact day that Friday the 13th New Beginning came out. March 22nd. 1985. So I might have had. Did they have VCRs back in 1985?
Yes.
Okay, so I would have to record this show on my VCR and go watch this this tale of Tommy at the theaters. So, but we got at the opening we have a special guest, Andre the Giant, has joined us for the program. All right. So this one is a very fun episode because this Tuesday Night Titans is one of the Tuesday Night Titans leading up to the very first WrestleMania, WrestleMania 1. All right? Because WrestleMania 1 would happen in March 31st, 1985, and this aired March 22nd. So we're only a couple weeks away.
Before.
Yeah, it's a week before. So we're leading up there, brother, and they are pumping this WrestleMania 1 up like heavy on the show, which they should have been. And it's crazy, it's crazy. So two things are crazy before I get into the review. So it's crazy to me to think that we're already 5 Friday the 13th movies deep, and WrestleMania hasn't even happened yet.
Yes, isn't that crazy?
It's crazy.
No WrestleMania.
Like for like a big fan, like like I like like to mix wrestling and horror. It's like it's crazy to think there's already 5 of these fucking movies before WrestleMania was even a thing. Hulkamania was barely a thing. You know what I mean? So it was
it's only been around a little over a year.
Yeah. So I was like, whoa, fuck, that's crazy. And then it's crazy, like we definitely one of these days we definitely have to review the very first WrestleMania because it's so historic. You know, it's so iconic. It definitely put a bigger spotlight on the world of pro wrestling when this event happened. So
yes, absolutely.
But so this one had Andre the Giant on here, and this was a weird interview. Okay, so first so during the Tuesday Night Titans, we had the guests come up, like it's kind of like a talk show, like you would see like David Letterman shit. So, but we'd also go to matches, and no shit, we have Andre the Giant versus the guy that we talked about last week, Mr. I'm gonna throw a fucking boulder through a window because you didn't get my McDonald's order right. Ken Patera was on my screen fighting Andre the Giant. Wow. I was like, fuck, bro, we just talked about this guy. And they were fighting. It was a good match. Like, two big guys going at it. And, like, it actually wasn't, there's some Andre the matches out there, but boy, this guy is like, he can barely fucking move. But at this time, this match wasn't too bad.
Yeah.
So the big thing is, go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm assuming Ken Patera got out of jail from throwing the rock through the McDonald's window.
No. This is before. Remember, he got the incident happened in 1984, but remember, he didn't get charged until later, 1985. So
okay, so he still hasn't been charged.
Yeah, he still hasn't been charged yet. So I'm not exactly sure which exact month in 1985 he got charged from, but it had to be after the WrestleMania. I'm guessing it was around April or May of when he actually got charged for it. So
okay.
So yeah, he's still in the clear right now, brother. All right.
Still on the lamb.
Still on there, brother. So now Andre, he's talking about the big match for WrestleMania 1, which, like I said, we're gonna do that in long form one of these days. Is Andre the Giant versus Big John Studd, and I think it was like a body slam challenge, and they would get like $10,000. Bro, you should have heard this interview though. This Vince McMahon, like, I don't know if this was like a shoot. This is so awkward. So Vince was like, yeah, Andre, what are you going to put up? And Andre's like, I'm not going to put up anything. And Vince is like, no, like, why? You got to put up something. Like, there's, people are saying that you might be a little bit of a, something if you don't put things up. It's like, I'm not going to put up anything. Why should I? And I couldn't tell if it was all like Vince was, I couldn't tell if Andre like forgot his line, like he was supposed to put up something, or if it was just like, if it was booked this way. Like, you have to see this, guys. So this episode also too, if you go to the Peacock, I forgot to mention this. If you go to the Peacock, it's season 2, episode 10. Okay. Because the Peacock doesn't give you the dates for some fucking reason. It just gives you seasons and the number 10. So it's a little annoying when I have to like find the date and everything. But like this beginning, it's just so awkward. So Vince McMahon's like, well, Andre, people, are you going to put up like your hair or something? And I was like, no, I'm not going to put up anything. Nope. And Vince, it was just so awkward because it feels like Vince was like fishing, like kind of giving, when you're acting, you're trying to fish the person is lying, but they forget and they're just not getting it. That's what it felt like. And then like, no shit, you got to see this. And then he was all like, well, Andre, if you don't put anything, some people might say that you have a yellow streak behind your back. And then Andre got up and fucking grabbed this motherfucker, like chinned up and grabbed him and said, I don't got no yellow streak, but he pushed his ass down. I was like, what the fuck? And then Andre storms out of there. Vince McMahon gets all pissed off, like throws a cup. And then we just cut back. It's like, all right, guys, I'm okay. I'm like, what the fuck? I was like, damn. It was great. This little section was like, this was really good because I could not tell, and I'm pretty good about this stuff. I could not tell if this was like a shoot or if they worked this in.
Right.
Like
if it was supposed to be that way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's supposed to be because in this era, 1985, you didn't see Vince McMahon get physical with anybody, even though he's big as a fucking house. All right, you don't see him like bowling up to people and stuff, but he's like bowling up to fucking Andre the Giant. I'm like, bro, of all the people,
of all people to pick on, that's the guy you pick.
And it's crazy to think too, like Vince McMahon wasn't active wrestler until he was almost 50. You know what I mean? Like going in the ring and fighting Austin and shit. Like during the 80s and stuff, this guy was fucking mostly an announcer. Like he was the owner of the company, but most of us fans just knew him as the announcer guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we didn't know that really.
So it was a great scene. I loved it. So next we get the Intercontinental Champion at the time, Greg Valentine. All right. And you were like, he was with his manager, Jimmy Hart, and you would like this because Greg was just saying how much of a rock and roll guy he was. He's all like, yeah, but tell all these other people I'm rock and roll. You know what I mean? Like, I was like, yeah, brother. I was like, fuck, I never knew this part of Greg Valentine. It's like, he came out there, leather jacket on, fucking 80s tee. I was like, fuck, I could see this guy driving on a motorcycle, listening to Iron Maiden, Slayer. I was like, hell yeah, absolutely. Brother, let's go, let's party. Like, he was ready to party. I was like, I never seen this character of Greg. That's what I'm saying, man. Like, this show is great because you see different, like, aspects of these characters I had no idea.
Yeah, because that seems like more like the real, well, when I say that, like, I don't know Greg Valentine, obviously, but in shoot interviews with Greg Valentine, that seems more like what he's actually like.
Exactly, because
that's I've heard him tell stories about like how Hogan was like not at all like his reputation, and Hogan like really was just like this kind of beach dude that just liked to sit on his couch and smoke weed. But that seems like more like what the shoot interview Greg Valentine is like what he's really like. Maybe.
Yeah, because if you just watch the TV, he's basically like this big blonde haired dude that comes out in a robe. You know what I mean? But I like the whole like rock and roll gimmick, like, yeah, brother, let's just party. I'm on a motorcycle. I was like, okay. And we see him fighting Jim Powers, which, bro, these people are like, I mean, fuck, bro. I mean, there's so much roids going on. Everybody was fucking huge. I mean, fuck, bro. Everybody was humongous.
They were all roided out, all of them.
And then he's talking about his match at WrestleMania. He's going to be facing the Junkyard Dog. I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, I want to see this match now. So... And then we get probably one of the weirdest segments ever I've seen. So check this one out. All right. So we have, the main event of WrestleMania 1 was Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff versus Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. Okay. Mm-hmm. And of course, Bob Orton, Randy Orton's dad, was in the corner of Roddy Piper and Paul. So first we cut to a scene where they're in Piper's pit, and they're basically just talking shit about Hogan and Piper, Hogan and Mr. T's training. Like they're training. They don't know how to train. They suck at training. And this Paul Orndorff guy, you talk about humongous. This guy looked like he looked like the real life Hulk, brother. This guy was jacked. Fuck. Damn, these people were jacked back in the day, brother. So
yeah, Paul Orndorff was huge,
and he was one of my favorites. I always thought Paul Orndorff, especially around this time, his intensity was great, and he was a great like pissed off dude. Like he played the pissed off guy really well.
Yeah.
So they're just talking shit about, their training regimen and stuff and how they're going to beat their ass at the WrestleMania. Then they come on the set, okay, to the Tuesday Night Titans and talk to Vince. Paul Orndorff was just pissed off the whole time looking at Vince. Roddy Piper just making all these like random jokes that are just like almost over my head type of jokes.
Right.
And
right.
I like one part where he leans back and he has like a little rip in his shirt. And Vince McMahon's like, hey, bro, you realize you got a little rip there in the shirt. It's like, yeah, I did that on purpose. All right. I did this training too much to fight Hulk Hogan and all this stuff. It's like, okay, damn, they're saving. Like, I like it where it's like, you could tell they didn't script anything. They're just on there and they're just going. You
right,
know what
they're
I mean?
just going.
They're just fucking going. It was great. So then, I don't know where this came from or why we're doing this, but this was hilarious and it was weird at the same time. So we go to a commercial, we come back, right? And now we're in like a dungeon area. And we have a cauldron. And we have a witch seer there. Like she can she can see the future of what's going to happen. She's like a witch character.
That's not the thing I would have guessed that you were going to say next.
And yes. And guess who
happens?
Guess who is at this dungeon lair with this witch seer? It was
hold on.
Okay. Do you want to guess or do you want me to tell you?
No, just tell me now.
Okay, so it's Vince McMahon there with a microphone that has a cord, so you can see the cord going off stage. All right. Yeah. You have Paul Orndorff looking jacked, but he has the slacks with the no shirt on, of course. But he has slacks on, like a page, and not page, but what do you call them? Just slacks on. Beige. I was trying to say beige. And then you had Bob Orton, you had Roddy Piper, and they're all looking inside the cauldron. And this witch is going to tell them who is going to win at WrestleMania 1. All right? And first she's like, oh, I see Hulk's shoulders pinned to the mat. They're all like, yes, we told you Hulk's going to be pinned. Yes, we told you. And she's like, wait. She's like, wait. They're like, what? What's wrong? What's wrong? He's like, wait, I see something else. He's like, well, what do you see? And she's like, I think I need to get out of here. He's like, what are you talking about? You got to get out of here. And she looks at Piper. She's like, I'm sorry, Mr. Piper. And they just all start freaking out. Like, what do you mean you're sorry? So they take the cauldron and they throw it off. You could definitely tell there's some sort of smoke machine in there.
Yes.
And they just throw this stuff around. They start getting pissed off. And then we cut. It was literally the most random thing you'll see. I guarantee you, if y'all watch that scene, it's the most random shit you'll see. And then we get back, right? And then we go to the World Tag Team Champions, which I did not realize they were the Tag Team Champions ever at all. But we have Barry Windham and Mike Rotunda as the World Tag Team Champions. Nice team there. And they are
fighting. That's not bad.
Yeah. Good. Oh, really good team. And they are fighting, they're just talking about their match of fighting Nikolai Volkov and the Iron Sheik at WrestleMania 1. So that's a fun match as well, too. And we get a couple clip of their squash match. Then we get another random scene. And you could just tell that they got Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. Hey, we need you guys to go into this convenience store and just act a fool. And they're like, okay, that's what we're going to do. So now we cut to Vince McMahon, and he's saying, okay, guys, we've seen the training regimen of Hulk Hogan and Mr. T. And, of course, when you're training for a pro wrestling match, what did you do in the 80s? Well, you just lift a bunch of heavy weights. We don't have to
That's
practice.
all you have to do.
Yeah, you don't have to practice holds. We don't have to practice counter submissions. No Uga Pak. No fucking submission holds. No counters. You know what I mean? We don't do that in the 80s wrestling. The way to win a match in 80s wrestling is you pump iron.
You pump iron and do steroids.
Yeah, that's how you win, brother. So now we've seen the training regimen, but now we're going to see the nutrition regimen. So the way that Mr. T and Hulk Hogan get nutrition is they storm into a grocery store or like a convenience store, and they just talk about random shit. Hey, I'm going to get this wheatgrass. Hey, what is this? I can't tell what is this. What is this? Oh, it's a carrot juice. Oh, we don't need that. I don't like that. Hey, get us 2 protein shakes. And Hulk Hogan's like, don't put any milk in there. I was like, what? Wait, what? I was like, is Hulk Hogan lactose intolerant?
I don't know, maybe. So they had protein shakes in convenience stores in the 80s?
No, they were the clerk was going to make them 2 protein shakes. And it was Mr. T's.
Like,
yeah.
Well, it wasn't, anyone would have that.
I don't know what this place was. It was either it looked like a small like drugstore, but it was like very dim light and stuff. It was really weird. But they're just going there, talk about all these. You could tell all this was ad-lib. They didn't plan anything. Hulk Hogan's like laughing a little bit. He's confused. Like they both eat bananas, and they're like Hulk Hogan didn't get the joke about they were trying to go in their guerrilla warfare and they're eating bananas. He didn't get the joke at all until the end. This is all real. Okay, I'm not making any of this up. All right. Then they drink this special protein that doesn't have it. Amazing. Hulk Hogan's like, put 90% protein in there, 10% fat. Like, how the fuck do you do that? What is this, all egg? And then he drinks it. Then he has this, oh, this sucks. And he's like, just drink it anyway. Then they drink it and they cut. I was like, what just happened here? Is everybody on cocaine on this show? That's all. Is everybody on cocaine? That's what I was thinking about.
Most likely, yes.
And then I didn't watch the rest of this part because I was busy, but it was basically we ended it for the next 20 minutes of doing some trivia. It was Lord Alfred Hayes and Vince McMahon doing trivia. I was like, oh my God, that's fucking weird. But this was a great show. I love this show. If I had one of these days, I'm just gonna branch off and do that show. Like, I'm just gonna have to because this is so fun. I love this show. It's one of my favorite wrestling shows ever. So look out that for the future, guys. I might just do this full. I love doing it on here, but I want to do this in full form one day. So, but anyway, Alison, what do we got for the metal music?
So I had to kind of break a Retro Blood rule a little bit to include this because I can't find an actual release date for this. So, but in March of 1985, the Almighty Slayer released their second album, Hell Awaits. And I wanted to talk about this because I love this album.
Oh, yeah.
So this is the album before Rain and Blood. So Rain and Blood was their third album. So this is but it's their first album that they really had any money. So the first album was Show No Mercy, and they recorded that with a loan from Kerry King's dad. So, and then Metal Blade put it out, and it did really well. So he wanted to put out another album. So they recorded Hell Awaits. So it's like their first professional album. And it's kind of overlooked because Rain and Blood is such a big seminal album in thrash metal. And then of course they got huge after that. But Hell Awaits is one of my favorite Slayer albums. They would go out on probably their first national tour with this, but it doesn't have a lot of what you would call hits on it. The song Necrophiliac is on that album, and so is Hell Awaits. But there's a song called At Dawn They Sleep, which is it's a slower song. So you don't think of Slayer at this point in their career as playing slow music, but it's slower and sludgy and grungy. And then at the end, it kind of gets fast and really hard. But it's got Crypts of Eternity, Hardening of the Arteries. This is a really, really, really good album. And I really think that people don't give Hell Awaits enough credit. Because you go straight to Rain and Blood, South of Heaven, Seasons of the Abyss. This is pre-Rick Rubin Slayer. So it's still just straight thrash metal.
Yeah.
They would go on a tour the next month. They would go out on tour with Exodus, and both of those bands were opening for Venom, which we talked about not too long ago on the Retro Blood.
Yes.
But they would go out on the 1985 tour with Venom, which was supporting the album that we talked about last week, I believe. But yeah, so Slayer's Hell Awaits is what we would be listening to and jamming to as we are driving the Trans Am to go see Friday the 13th Part 5.
I'd be super pumped because, Slayer around this time probably would have been top favorite bands, I would say.
Yes.
So.
And it would have been jarring, though. So I remember, Rain and Blood is the first Slayer album I ever heard.
Yeah.
And I remember how jarring it was to hear it. Like, I'd never heard anything like that. I don't know if there'd ever been anything like that. But definitely in a little small, like, redneck town that I lived in, you couldn't hear anything like that. And it was fast and hard and just, like, I didn't even know you could play music that fast. Like, I didn't even know it was possible to play music that fast. I mean, like, the hardcore bands played fast music, but not like this. Like, this, like, it was fast. And it would have been, like, shocking. I think it would have been shocking to us after listening to Judas Priest and Iron Maiden and metal bands like that. I think definitely. That hearing Slayer would have been just fucking shocking.
Yeah, I mean, because we talked about that before, like, the early 80s. I mean, a lot of that rock and roll is like that, kind of like that classic rock and roll. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's still had that 70s sound.
Yeah, they didn't really like shred,
Right. Even Metallica still had a kind of a 1970s sound, even though they were faster. They were, I mean, especially on Ride the Lightning, they got really fast, but they're like Motorhead fast. This is like, it's like you have to hear it, I guess, if you've never heard. It's like people out there, but it's really, fast.
Like brutal. You know what I mean?
It's brutal. Yeah, it's just like it never lets up.
It's great. I would have loved it, definitely. I was like, fuck, bro. I mean, I'm ready. I'd be ready to go, man. I mean, fuck, bro. This is a great month because we got the first WrestleMania coming up. I'm super psyched about this big event for the WWF. You know what I mean? Everybody's all jacked up on cocaine. Yeah. I got my cocaine on the side too. We're in the Trans Am. We're kind of like
the center console in the Trans Am.
Yeah, we're kind of like our boy, the little medical guy here, Billy. You know what I mean? We're picking up a girl from the diner. We're doing some cocaine in the car, listening to some Slayer on our way to a new beginning. Yeah, brother. This is great. I like it. Punk rock all the way around, man. I love it.
Yeah, it's a great era. It's a great era.
We'll be fucked during this month, bro. I mean, we got wrestling, we got cocaine, we got Freddy, we got Slayer. Boy. We got Budweiser beer. I saw it in there.
Hell yeah.
We're ready to go. So, but yeah, I mean, Hell Awaits is a great great album. Like I said, like you were saying before, it's not the most popular Slayer album, but you could tell like when they were doing this album, like this is like the sound that they would eventually like kind of lean into. You know what I mean? Like this is like kind of like where it formed. So
absolutely, and a lot of like old school like metal guys consider it the last real Slayer album.
Yeah.
Because and I understand why they say that, because when Rick Rubin kind of took it over for their next album, they were I think the next album, I think Rain and Blood is on his label. I think it's on Def Jam. So they would leave Metal Blade and go to Def Jam for the next album. And it kind of had that more like I don't know. I don't want to call it hip hop, but there's kind of like a rap delivery to Tom Araya's vocals that he doesn't have here. Like this is still straight metal. This is like Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, and hardcore punk, Discharge, all put in together into one sound. And then they would kind of get more commercial. Even though Rain and Blood's fucking fast, they would get more commercial from the next album on. So a lot of people consider this the last real Slayer album. I'm not one of those. I love later Slayer too. I love all Slayer. It's all fucking great. All of it. They never made a bad album, in my opinion. But yeah, this is Show No Mercy is just a masterpiece. This album is so fucking good.
Yeah. And we'll definitely be playing a track.
Not Show No Mercy. Hell Awaits.
Hell Awaits, brother. It's a great fucking one. And we're going to be playing a song from that at the end of the show. But
hell yeah, we will.
Let's get into the who booked this shit, brother.
Yeah, who booked this shit?
So there's a lot to talk about when it comes to Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. You know, like we were saying on the... yeah, a lot of questions here. So, you know, you're all wondering, James and Alison, you guys said it was the last Friday, and you said this Paramount Pictures didn't want anything to do with this fucking slasher shit. You know what I mean?
Nope, it's over.
It's over.
It's totally over.
Like, why? Like, did you guys work us? Like, what's going on here? So, guys, I want to tell you something here. When something makes money, fucking are the rules. Okay?
Yeah, if it makes money, we got to make another one.
So what happened was the final Friday did.
Happened was.
Yeah. So what happened was the final Friday made a shit ton of money, and Paramount's like, well, fuck, well, just bring this shit back and see what happens. You know, we need some money. It's 1 year later.
Yeah, that's what we need. We like money
to
buy our cocaine. So
exactly.
I have a question. So this is my first question. All right, so we've seen this as we've gone through these movies. Like the first one, the one movie will make money, and then they'll make another one. Then that one won't make as much money, and they're like, oh, well, fuck it, let's end it. And then they'll make another one. Then it'll make money, and then they'll make another one again. So they were going to end it at Part 4 because they weren't making enough money.
Well,
I mean, at Part 3.
Yeah, 3 didn't make that much money, but then 4 did.
And then so they're like, well, fuck it, let's not end it, let's make another one. And then they make 5, and then it doesn't make as much money again.
Well, I think what they were trying to do now is they realized that, okay, this property, okay, we think the slasher shit's going down, but our particular property of the Fridays makes the money though out of these slashers. So I think they're just like, well, fuck, I mean, just what we're gonna do is we're going to make a Friday the 13th film, but we're gonna take it in a different direction and to see if we can make more of it like this style, which we'll talk about.
Which, yes, I think you're right, and I think that the underground slashers were going away because basically by 1985 or 1986, if you weren't making a movie with Jason in it or Freddy in it, you couldn't make a slasher movie. Because we weren't even making Halloween movies again yet, right? They were gone.
So we did.
When was Part 4?
So Part 4, actually, I think that was in 1986, I believe.
Yeah. So the next year they would come back.
Yeah.
And be completely different, and we'll talk about that next week when we talk about Part 6.
Yeah.
But yeah, like if you like the underground slasher movies were going away, but the mainstream ones like Friday the 13th, or as it became mainstream, we're still doing pretty well. But I'm curious. I mean, how much money did they expect this damn thing to make? I mean, it cost $2 million to make, and it made $21 million in profit, or made $21 million not in profit, but in total. So it made 10 times its budget back. Like, what were they expecting? Like, how much is it? That's not enough money.
No,
like,
I mean it was. I mean that's why they brought it back, for it to make money.
No, I know, but what they're saying is like, so we have to change because originally what they did with Part 6, they weren't going to do. It was going to be different.
Yeah.
But they changed it. They changed Part 6 because of the failure, quote unquote, of Part 5.
Yeah. I mean, it I don't know. I mean, maybe they wanted to do like 10 times more than that, but
I don't know, maybe.
I'm thinking maybe because they got some fan backlash. So,
I guarantee they got fan backlash after when we talk. People understand why when we talk about the.
So I want to talk about the director that they picked.
I do too.
This guy, first of all, did you see the little documentary on him on the Shout Factory DVD set, like the making of this movie?
Yeah, I watched the making of. Yeah, the little 10-minute thing.
It's got to look a little rough. Okay.
Well, yeah, but
yeah. Unfortunately, he's not with us nowadays. But some of the stuff that he has done, okay, was, and he said this during the film. Basically, he made his film director debut not as like a normal director, not as a working on past horror movies or nothing. No, this guy did hardcore porn, brother. Okay.
Yeah.
And a picture
we've
called,
talked about that before.
Yeah, a picture called High Rise, brother. All right, which he used an alias Danny Stone on. Okay.
Yeah, but that wasn't that unusual. Like we talked about that before. Like a lot, like horror films were basically up until about this year, 85. Horror films are basically one step up above porn. In fact, they were sometimes shown in the same theaters. And, you know, a lot of horror directors came from porn. But yeah, in 1973, he made High Rise, which was a porn film.
Yes, and apparently, which I didn't know this, he was also in the talks about doing a proposed sequel to The Last House on the Left.
Yeah, that's weird. I can't even imagine what that would be like, but that would have been odd.
Yeah. So
he did make some really good movies though. Like he only made 3 movies ever.
Yeah.
Well, 4 if you count High Rise. But he made The Unseen, which is a really good movie. And the year before Friday, he made Savage Streets with Linda Blair, which is a great movie. And then he made Friday. But I guess he was just so disgusted with Hollywood that he never made another film after that.
Yeah, because
he went on to make commercials and things.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a lot of like trouble with this shoot. So there was just a lot of things that was like going on. So basically, what happened, everybody, was when Paramount was trying to make this film, they had a different title. They had a running fake title for everybody, pretty much everybody. Reputation. Okay. So
Repetition,
that's what Repetition. They were trying to. That's what the working title was for all these actors and actresses. That's what they were auditioning for this particular movie. The reason they were doing it is because they wanted to keep everything under wraps. They want to surprise everybody with the new Friday movie coming out. So the director, he knew about that. Danny did, and he didn't even know what Friday the 13th was until his kid told him. All right. What the series was and how popular it was. And he said, like, basically he had a hard time with certain parts of the film, which was, you know, Paramount, they wanted like a kill like almost every minute or every other minute. You know what I mean? That's why we had so many kills on this film, which was the most kills we had.
Yeah, I think he said in that documentary, he said that they wanted somebody to die every 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, like quick, like a lot. So this film was actually had the most kills within a Jason film or Friday the 13th film to date, I believe. I'm not sure about the ones in the 90s, but I'm pretty sure this one has the most. It has 20. So we're getting that count up there, brother. And you know, he was saying there was a couple scenes that he got. He had the what was it called? The you know, the people that censor everybody. The MPAA is out there. Yeah, MPAA.
Motion picture. Yeah.
So he said, like, you know, a lot of them didn't really care about the kills, the blood, or nothing. But he said the most that he had a cut was the porn in the woods scene with Eddie and Tina fucking in the woods, brother. He said, like, yeah, I just wanted to make this like sex scene in there in the woods because the audience, you know, just we seen sex in, you know, horror films all the time. But I guess his was maybe too much grinding on there. So he said, like, yeah, like we had to cut to this one guy and then cut back and you don't see any of these sex scenes anymore. And I was like,
I think that no, go ahead.
I was like, damn, where is this footage at? This guy's like he made a fucking porn in the fucking woods, brother.
Yeah, like I mean, he shot a lot of nudity for that because he like he was saying, like he's like I think people like that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah.
And they do. I mean, we do for sure. But you know, I think that it says a lot though about American society that they didn't have any problems with any of the violence or the murders in this movie.
Yeah.
But they had problems with nudity. You know what I mean? That's what they wanted him to cut.
And there were still plenty amount of nudity and tits in this film.
Well, I wouldn't say plenty, but there was a substantial amount. What was the girl's name? The character's name, Tina.
Yeah,
from
Tina,
the scene we're talking about.
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, like that girl was clearly hired just for the role that she played. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, she was just I'll say that she was built for this scene. But you know, like he shot that purposely to relieve the audience of just constant, you know, kills.
Yeah.
You know, because he's having to shoot a murder scene every 7 minutes. So he wanted to in the middle of the movie, he wanted to have like a scene of like calm for a couple of minutes before they go right back into the murder again. And then the censors like cut all that shit out, but they didn't cut any of the blood out. But yeah, I think that's just, America's just such a puritanical country. Like, I know we're just like, we're so terrified of sex and nudity, but violence is not a problem at all. And I think that's one of the problems with our society, but our show is not about that. So let's continue to talk about horror movies.
Yeah. So another thing, apparently this set was filled with a little bit of the cocaine and drug use, brother, weed and shit. And like, bro, you could tell, like,
yes, you can.
That cocaine when he was snorting it. I mean, that shit was real. Don't tell me it was fake.
Yeah.
I knew that shit was real. The weed was real. I'm pretty sure, the actors, like when you got on set and they all figured out it was like a Jason film at the end. By the way, got to talk about that too. But they're just like, okay, You're hired. Here's this bag. What's this? Oh, this is cocaine. It's required for you to take it. So, but a lot of the actors and actresses, they didn't know that they were filming a Friday the 13th film. It wasn't until I believe it was halfway through production. They're like, oh yeah, guys, this is actually a fucking. This is a Friday film. And they're like, oh, what the fuck? And apparently, the guy who played one of the leading roles, Tommy, John Steppard, he didn't know. He was like, what? It's a Friday film? What the hell? Because apparently he, on his own, he was trying to get into character. So he volunteered at a state mental hospital to prepare for the role, and that he felt really disappointed to discover Reputation was actually the 5th entry into the Friday 13th series. So he was actually disappointed at it. Of course, he's probably not disappointed when he went to all those cons and made a bunch of money. All right. But at the time, he was disappointed to it. So also too, the actor Dick, was it Winden? He played. Let's see who he played. Hold on. Dick Winden. He played Roy. Right, our secret character that we'll talk about soon. He said, it wasn't until I saw part 5 that I realized what a piece of trash it was. I mean, I knew the series' reputation, but you're always hoping that yours is going to come out better. I was like, damn, right. I was like, this is not that bad. Okay.
No, but I think that if you don't like these movies, it's not going to be good. And, he doesn't, that's one thing that I think a lot of fans don't understand is that the people that make these movies more often than not are not fans of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you probably couldn't go up to Kevin Bacon today and start talking about horror movies and expect him to be a fan.
Well, I don't know about that one.
Well, okay, that may be a bad example.
Because he's done after that, he's done horror
that's true
stuff. But
true.
What you're trying to say is, I get what you're saying. Where you'll have some of these people who play some of these roles, and maybe some more the obscure sequels of horror movies that they don't want to talk about at all until they realize, oh shit, I can go to these horror movie cons and make a bunch of money off these marks, all right, for a role that I didn't even like in the first place. That's usually what happens.
But they only do that when they don't really have any other options.
Yeah.
After they can't act anymore, they go to these horror cons, and not to look down on any of those people, because I'm sure they're making a shit ton of money doing it. But it's like the famous quote from that is kind of from Michael Shannon when, because he played Zod in that Man of Steel movie or whatever. And then somebody asked him who would win in a fight, Superman or Batman. And his answer was, I'm so uninterested in that I can't even think of a fake answer.
There you go. Tell him like it is.
Right. But yeah, so the guy who played Tommy did not want to be in Friday the 13th Part 5. And, he didn't find out until they'd already cast him.
Yeah. But so, he did a pretty good job, though. This guy.
Yeah. This does affect our timeline, though. We have to talk about that a little bit later.
Yes. Yeah, we'll get into that when we do the full review, our little timeline here. I'm trying to see what else this guy's done, because I thought I recognized from some stuff, but he's apparently this is one of his first movies he made. So, but I do want to talk about our boy Corey Feldman, brother. He is back on the screen here, and I thought it was pretty interesting because he played Tommy Jarvis in the part 4, and he came back for a little special cameo at the beginning of the film. reprising his role of Tommy. And apparently he did this on like a Sunday when he had a day off from filming The Goonies, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and it was shot in his backyard, apparently.
Yeah. I was like, damn, bro, you got that kind of backyard? Like, you just put a grave there and that shit and everything? So, but
they probably didn't even shoot that. They probably just shot the scene of his face.
Yeah, that's true. Like, just him walking in the rain.
Yeah, they probably just turned on like a rain machine and then had him stand behind a bush and just shot the scenes of his face.
Yeah. His family's home backyard in Los Angeles with a rain machine.
Yeah.
So, and then before we go into the full review, obviously this was the only Friday the 13th movie with Jason's mask being blue. All right, which was...
Yes, so I thought they did this really well.
Yeah.
So as I watched this, because I've always thought of this movie as, what everybody thinks about it. It's like the one that doesn't fit. And they're right in some aspects, but yeah, I like how they changed the mask so that it would give you a clue as to what the swerve is going to be.
Yes.
And they purposely did that, and that's kind of cool.
Yes. So, but yeah, I mean, this movie was definitely, I feel, very like punk rock in a way. You know what I mean? Like we're just obviously showing drug use. We're just obviously smoking weed. We're just getting these kills every 7 to 5 minutes. I mean, it's just boom, 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 boom here. Let's go. So it's very interesting. Very, very, very interesting Friday the 13th film, and with the swerve at the end. So, but it's fun. But everybody, and Alison, I say we get into the full discussion of Friday the 13th 5, A New Beginning. It's a new beginning here, brother.
It is. New beginning for us.
If the memory of Jason still haunts you, you're not alone. Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Severe trauma at age 12. Brutal self-defense, murder of a psychopathic killer. Boy, they've given him every therapy they can think of. It's wonder his mind isn't fried with all the drugs they've given him.
The mindless, murderous fury that was buried with Jason has been reborn.
Pete!
And suddenly, terror has become child's play. Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
All right. So we start off. We have a young Tommy. He has returned, brother. It is raining, and he is in his best rain outfit, which is yellow. Who was the famous kid in the yellow outfit? Wasn't that Dick Tracy or no?
Maybe.
Like the yellow. Was that from It? Maybe. What am I thinking about here? There's like a famous kid whose outfit was all yellow.
Dick Tracy's not a kid, but I think he was wearing a yellow outfit.
Well, did he have like a sidekick that was the kid or something?
I don't know.
I don't
Maybe.
know what I'm thinking about. So we see him. He's all yellowed out, and he is in the backwoods. I guess we're supposed to think that this is where Jason was buried. And I like it how they just like buried Jason with his mask.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? He liked this mask. We got to bury it with him. So he's in there. And then he's looking at the grave, and he hears like these two other kids coming to dig up the grave. And I'm thinking, okay, hold on a second. I know we're in 1985, but we don't care about a lot of shit. But we're just going to have these two random kids dig up this famous killer's grave. Like, we don't have any security. We don't hide this anywhere. We're just going to keep it out in the open for them to, dig it up. But there's a reason why.
Yeah, like they didn't cremate him or nothing.
Yeah. So we see that they dig them up, and then of course Jason has worms and shit through him, and he wakes up and he stabs these two kids to death. And I was like, okay, this is like a what do you call it? A sign that we might see this later in the series. You know what I mean? So it's like a little bit okay. So Jason goes up. He sees young Tommy. Tommy freaks out. He doesn't have any lines. All right. So, we booked him for a couple hours in his backyard, but we're not going to give him any lines, remember?
No.
So just facial expressions. So Jason goes up to him. He's about to chop his ass down. And then we wake up. And now we see a adult. Well, maybe like a young adult, Tommy.
Yeah. So I don't know how old he's supposed to be. He's 17 or 18.
Yeah.
For sure, because they're letting him out of the mental institution. They don't have like jurisdiction over him anymore. So how old was he supposed to be in part 4?
Wasn't he 10 or no? Because this is supposed to be. Maybe he's 13.
I was gonna say he was 12 or 13.
Yeah, because 18 makes sense for. I think this guy kind of he could pass for 18.
Yeah, so let's say he was 12. And now he's 18. So that pushes us 5 more years into the future.
Well, 12 times 5
and
is
now
17. So he had to be 13.
What? Well, okay, so it's 6 years in the future then. Whatever.
Well, this movie, I thought this movie was supposed to be 5 years.
Well, they never tell us that. They don't tell us when it takes place. They just assume it's in the future. They also don't tell us where it takes place.
Yeah, they tell us where it takes place.
Do they?
Yeah, Pinehurst. Pinehurst is another community within the Crystal Lake family. Remember, we talked about this, Alison.
I do know that, but I don't remember them telling us that it was near Crystal Lake. But
Yeah.
I'm assuming it was.
Yeah, it was. It was just a couple blocks down.
Which is another problem that we'll talk about in a minute or two. But yeah, so this movie takes place in like 1990 or 1991. I guess.
Yeah, because so if you're going with our timeline, we'd established that the number 4 ended in 1985. So this, if it's 5 years later, let's just say he was like 13. So it was 5 years later. All right. So yes, we're in like 1990 right now.
Yeah, and all of these people are wearing really, really out of style clothes.
Well, we had the little I would say too much. You know what I mean? But you gotta remember,
Especially
they were
the guy in the van.
They were rejects from the world, so they didn't get the best fashion.
I guess so.
Okay, you're not gonna have it. They're not gonna have like the high end Converse at the time. Okay.
True.
So,
True. And apparently, I'm guessing that Danny Steinman didn't even know what year this was supposed to take place in.
No, he's just like, turn the film on, get some cocaine, let's go. That's what he was like.
Let's go.
So here's what's happening, everybody. So Tommy is he's been in and out of like hospitals and shit because of the trauma that he got when he was a kid, fighting Jason and all them. So, or killing Jason. So they have this new program at this place called Pinehurst where you're going to be dropped off here, like people get dropped off here, and they teach you how to get back into society, because you're not locked up in like a mental hospital or anything like that. You're hanging out with these counselors, or you're hanging out with the people who run the staff, and you're hanging out with these other kids to kind of develop yourself back. And they are dropping Tommy off here because they can't hold him anymore because he's 18. Remember, when you're 18, you can't, they can't legally have you stay anywhere. Right. So that's why he's getting sent here.
They can't keep him anymore. Yeah.
And he agreed to go to this Pinehurst, even though he kind of knew, this is around the Crystal Lake area, but that's the only place they could send him. And I do want to...
why?
Hold on.
So why would they send him back to the place where all of this happened?
Hold on.
All right, you're going to explain it.
I do my research here, brother. All right?
Okay. All right. Fair
enough. This... So they don't really tell us in the movie, but there is... So have you ever played the Friday the 13th video game? The one that came out, not the old fucking Super Nintendo one or nothing. The newer one that came out in like 2014 or 15 or something like that.
I played it a little bit, yes.
So apparently there are these Tommy Jarvis tapes. Okay.
Okay.
That you can find out the game, and it kind of gives them. I thought the tapes actually kind of like fill in some of the gaps on some of the Tommy storylines on here. Okay.
Okay.
And I'll post these on the Facebook, which I hopefully got back up and running, and so you guys can listen to it, because I thought they did a great job within this video game to fill in some of the gaps of Tommy's in and out of the mental hospitals. All right. And in one of the tapes, is the reason he came over here was at first, like the doctor kind of suggested him. This is in the tapes, not the movie. So the doctor suggested him to come to this place. Maybe it'll help out. But then she was kind of thinking against it. And then without her knowing it, he eventually booked himself to come here, because he thought if he booked himself to come to this place, maybe it would help out his trauma. So,
okay.
To the Pinehurst. Right. So we do meet Bill. He's one of the medical guys driving the hospital car. And do you know what you do when you're riding somebody to a youth center with another person in the vehicle? Alison, you know what you do? You read a porn.
What do you do?
Magazine.
You do.
You read a porn
Nothing else
magazine.
to do.
Yeah. I mean, I would read one, but I'm just looking for the articles.
Exactly. I only read the articles on those myself.
So we get so now Tommy gets dropped off, and we meet two characters. We meet Pam, where she is like the what's it called, the coordinator to this youth recovery center.
Yeah.
And we meet Mike, who is kind of like the it's Matt. My bad.
The doctor, right?
Yeah. Well, I always get Mike and Matt mixed up. I don't know why. Anyway, we meet Matt, and he is like the doctor out of the whole place, and he is the one that kind of described, like I just did, about what this place is. You know, trying to get people back into society, all these lost kids and stuff. You know, you're your own boss over here. Do your thing.
There's lots of chickens.
Yeah, a lot of chickens. You know what I mean? Come on now. So this is also too, you know, Tommy. You could tell that he doesn't really talk to a lot of people and everything. And he's like, you know, we don't really like. Okay, so this movie confirms in canon that Tommy's mom died. Okay, because they said that. They said the mom died and the sister didn't die, but apparently the sister, we didn't really know what happened to the sister. Okay, and movie canon, but in these tapes, it just after a while, like the sister kept like visiting Tommy, and eventually she just gave up. I was like, man, what a fucking. It's like, nope, not happening for me. So the sister is alive. She just doesn't visit Tommy at all for no reason. She doesn't want to deal with him. So this is when we meet another character. There's a lot of characters in this film, though. Like a shit ton. Like we just booking everybody, brother. Okay.
Yeah, we got to kill somebody every 7 minutes.
Yeah,
exactly. Have a lot of people.
Exactly. She's like, I got to get that budget up. So we meet the kid character, Reggie. He scares Tommy with a little spider. And then Tommy scares him with his mask. Because remember, you know, in number 4, Tommy's character was a big mask person. You know what I mean?
And he still is, apparently.
That still is. You know what kind of reminded me of was the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. Where like the Michael Myers character was big into mask. And he had a bunch of masks. But I guess the Captain Kirk mask was his favorite. So they meet each other. So we're seeing all that happen. And then they hear some police outside. So they all go outside. It's the police sheriff Tucker. He is talking with Matt, saying like, hey, man, I found a couple of your kids out there. I was like, listen, I know what you're doing over here, and I respect it. But a lot of the neighbors don't like you around here and all these kids around here. Because, you know, a lot of them are like felonies and, you know, they're bad kids, you know, or their reputation are bad kids.
Yeah.
And they don't like you around here, especially Ethel. She don't like it at all. And I caught these two kids right here, Eddie and Tina. I caught them fucking out there in the woods. All right, so they're up there laughing.
Yeah, they have sex on her property a lot, apparently.
Yeah, that's what they were booked for. Eddie and Tina was just to have sex in the woods. And I'm like, well, fuck, bro, where's I in 1985? Sign me up, brother. Get paid out there to have some sex in the woods. Can't be. And do cocaine. I was like, fuck, okay. These are wild, man.
Yeah, the part of Kelso would be the best part.
Just imagine, just imagine that. Like, all right, I'm reading for this role. What's my character? Well, your character has sex in the woods and has cocaine. And you barely have any lines. We're going to pay you $1 million. It's like, fuck, okay. I mean, I obviously didn't get paid $1 million, but he probably got paid, like, decent price.
He got paid something.
So then I don't know why we have these characters all the time, but I guess we have to have them for comedy. So then we get Ethanol and her son Junior, and they're basically like, I don't know, what do you explain? Like poor white trash people, I guess. What they're supposed to be.
Who, Ethel and her son?
Yeah.
I don't know. I hate these characters. I don't know why these characters are in the movie and why they always have to have a character like this.
Yeah.
Where they have to have this just crazy over the top, like, dipshit family. Like, I know, with her, like, just clearly mentally ill son.
I'm gonna blame a movie we haven't done yet, but I'm gonna blame Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 on that. I think they're the ones that kind of like made that like famous.
Maybe you may be right, but I mean, like, is it just supposed to be like, are they supposed to be comedy relief?
I guess.
So we can like laugh at her dipshit son and like all the stupid shit she's doing all the time and her over the top screaming and like, I don't know. That's the only thing I hated about this movie was these two characters. Well, it would be so much better if they just weren't it.
Yeah, she's being a 1985 Karen saying, "Get these kids off my property." I did like when she says to the son, "Shut the fuck up." I was like, damn, all right. And then she calls him an idiot, and then they leave. And she's like, if I see any of these kids on my property, I'm going to blow their fucking heads off. I was like, damn, this girl's a fucking mouth on her.
Yeah.
All right. And then the Matt and Tucker, they just laugh about it. It's just like, yeah, it's probably best you don't have the kids go on our property. He's like, hey, by the way, you got that Jarvis kid here? He's like, yeah. I was like, oh, good luck. How is he? He's like, any normal kid. Oh, good luck. I was like, okay, what's that supposed to mean? So now,
I mean, it's not, I was gonna say it's not like he like did anything really bad. I mean, he killed a serial killer in self defense. It's not like,
yeah, exactly.
He's not Michael Myers who killed his sister and a bunch of other people.
Yeah. So now we're seeing the character Joey. He is like a fat kid, kind of like that kid from Willy Wonka. The fat one that eats a bunch of chocolate. It's kind of like that character.
Yeah. Yep.
So he stares at this guy named Vic, who's chopping some wood, who looks angry. Mm-hmm. And he stares at these two girls. We have Robin and we have Violet. All right. So it's like, I'm going to go talk to the girls doing laundry. He's talking to the girls doing laundry. His pickup lines is offer them chocolate. You know what I mean? I was like, man, you know what? I can see that working.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, I'm great at laundry. I'm the best ever at laundry. He sounded like Trump here. I'm the best at laundry. I could do the laundry the best. Look at me. I'm so great at laundry. I do laundry
better than anyone. There's never been anybody that did laundry.
There's nobody better. And then he grabs the sheet and he got chocolate all over it. And they're all pissed off at him. And he's like, well, fine. Fuck you girls then. He leaves. And then he starts talking to Vic. And he offers Vic check this one out, Alison. He's all like, hey, I got 2 chocolate bars. But don't tell the girls over there, they get jealous. It's like, damn. This guy is in his own world. All right. And of course, Vic is like a pissed off guy. So he puts the chocolate down, then he stabs the chocolate. Then Joey gets all fucking pissed off, saying, well, screw you then. And he walks off. Then Vic just fucking, out of nowhere, just chops him, axes him in the fucking back. And then axes him a couple times.
So this is the first time in a Friday the 13th movie where someone was killed by somebody who wasn't the villain.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yes. I'm trying to think. Yeah. That's definitely the first time because we have Jason or Pamela. They're the ones that done all the killing.
Yep. Nobody else. I don't think anybody else has killed anybody that wasn't only the villain has done murders up until now.
Yes. So, and this is actually, if you think about it, it was a pretty good. What's it called? Prelude to what we're going to be seeing.
Yes.
So then we get these 2 medical, medical ambulance drivers, come up and they're going to be taking Joey's bodies away. One of them just like gets there in front of everybody and just like opens the sheet and everybody's like, oh God, like it's a chopped up body. And he's like, pussies.
Yeah, you got to have that one guy who's like, well, Brooke.
It's like so random,
Love
my
dead
pissies.
bodies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I love dead bodies, brother. And then we got Roy. All right, and Roy looks at the body all weird, stares at it more weird, and you can tell that there's something about this character because we're zooming up on his face. Okay?
Yes.
So remember
And
Roy.
at the end of the movie, when we get to the end, we will talk about this scene again.
Yes.
Because I want to bring something up.
Okay, we'll do that. So the Tucker's now talking, with Matt again about Vic, and the character Vic, he's the one that had the most like criminal background out of everybody in the camp, and obviously they take him away, and then Joey's dead as well too, and all of the kids are like upset about it. So they're also talking about too, like Matt says, like, he tells Tucker, like, yeah, Joey, he didn't have like any family to tell. Like, we don't have like any, he didn't have any family on the record. He was basically just an orphan kid who was going to house and house and never found his place in the world. So like, how like in every like Friday movie, we were talking about like car trouble?
Yes.
Well, it's back.
It's back.
So apparently when you drive around Crystal Lake or the surrounding areas of Crystal Lake, your car, you might as well just not have a car. Maybe bring like a scooter, maybe bring a bicycle, because the car just ain't going to work. Okay?
It's going to break down.
It's going to break down. So now we're seeing these two characters who are not part of they're just two random characters. They're not part of the Pinehurst community. We are meeting Pete and Vic, who are, I'm not sure if they were dressed up for Halloween, or they're just trying to play the Fonz. So we're meeting this character, Pete and Vic, and guess what? They're having car troubles. Okay? Yeah. So they're having car troubles. Vic is bitching at Pete. Pete is bitching at Vic. Say that 10 times fast. And Pete now has to go take a shit in the woods. Okay? So he goes to the woods, gets scared by a bunny. We cut back. We see Vic fixing the car, and then we have a flare. Not Ric Flair, but a flare, like a flare light. And Vic thinks it's Pete. It's not. It's the killer, and he puts the flare light in the mouth. Now, I'm not saying it's Jason, because we don't see we just see the hand. We don't see the actual person itself.
Right.
And he puts the flare in the mouth. And then Pete comes back. Pete comes back from his shit. That was like fucking less than a minute. So I don't know if this guy, he took a shit. He used the plant this guy was quick with this shit. So he comes back, starts asking Vic. He's going to beat Vic's ass. He starts singing that song, like this, like a 50s song.
Yeah.
Like a little 50s jingle. Ooh bop and shit. What was it? What was it? Tutti Frutti, right? Tutti Frutti.
Yeah, because these are characters like right out of the 50s.
Yeah, and then eventually the killer comes up behind him and cuts his throat. So we're getting those bodies up right now, brother. We're getting those body counts up. So then we see Tommy staring at the wall while sleeping. Okay, and he's sweating as well too. So he's nervous. And then, of course, Tommy keeps having a bunch of flashbacks of Jason as well, too. All right. So now we got most of the kids setting up the table. Reggie's talking about Grandpa, and he doesn't want the Grandpa to show infection in front of him, in front of everybody. And also, Reggie also wants to visit his brother as well. And they're all about to have breakfast, and he tells everybody to have breakfast is ready. Then we have Joey saying, hey, Violent, you set more plates than they're supposed to be. Because she set plates for Joey and Vic. All right? And then they all get mad about that, and they're all like sad that Joey's dead because they like the Joey guy. All right? And then, of course, Matt shows up. Everybody gets all quiet. He's like, hey, we got to move on from this and eat the breakfast. And then Tommy shows up. And then Matt asks, hey, Tommy, can you go get Eddie? And Tommy's like, Tommy at this time, he's not really like a really good, he's not mixing well with everybody. You know what I mean? He's very quiet. He's very on his own. Probably, drugged up with all these medications and shit. And Matt tells him, just get Eddie to come downstairs. He's about to go get him. And then Eddie shows up in a mask and scares, for a second, Tommy. And of course, Eddie took one of Tommy's masks and scared him with it. All right. Yeah. And then Eddie starts playing with them. And then Tommy just whoops his ass. Fuck, bro. This guy was
Tommy's a badass at this point.
Bro, he fucking took this guy's and fucking armbarred his ass onto the fucking table and just beat his shit. I was like, damn, bro.
Oh yeah,
he's beat his ass.
Anybody that can kill Jason is gonna be a badass. You don't fuck with that person.
Yeah, he just whips his fucking ass, and then Matt gets him to calm down. I was like, and that's not only the first ass whooping our boy Tommy would do. He would come back. So now we have the Evelyn girl. She's chopping up a chicken, and she's saying that she's going to chop up every kid at that Pinehurst, like that Vic guy chopped up the fat kid. And then they eat a bunch of stew. And then they hear birds, and she says a bunch of coyotes will get them. And then out of nowhere, it was just some dude who was all dirty, and he says, you got any food? And she's like, well, you got to go clean the chicken shit, and I'll give you some food. He's like, okay, we'll do.
This random guy that just shows up out of nowhere.
Bro, this guy was the most useless character. But I get why they had him in here, because we're supposed to think this guy's the killer, okay?
Yeah, possibly.
But he is the most useless character I have almost seen in a horror film ever, okay?
Well, I mean, yeah, okay. We'll go with that. I won't mention it, but yeah, go ahead. We'll talk about it later.
So now the sheriff, all right, and sheriff is like, look, he finds those two, Fonzie dead bodies. And the sheriff's like, Tucker is like, man, what is going on here? And Roy's like, hey, you talking to me? You talking to me? And he's like, no, I wasn't talking to you. And he's like, he doesn't know what to do. Tucker's like, he's just kind of confused. Okay?
Yeah.
So now so I really like this scene. The scene was so corny, but it was so great at the same time. This is one of my favorite scenes in this movie. It's not my favorite scene in the movie, but it's one of mine. Coming up next. We have Billy, that medical guy from earlier reading the porn?
Yeah.
He's back, brother, in a fucking badass car. I didn't check out which car it is, but it's definitely a race car. I think it was a Mustang. And he is honking it. This guy is ready to party, brother. He has his fucking jacket on, striped shirt. He got a little stash going on. He looked pretty creepy. Like, he looks like one of those creepy guys, like you can't trust. And he is honking his horn to Lana. And I remember when I was first watching this, I was like, are you guys trying to convince me that this Lana character, who's actually pretty hot, is going to go out with this fucking creeper looking fucking dude?
Yeah, because he has cocaine.
That makes sense. So he is telling her to get ready. They're like fighting back and forth, but flirting back and forth. And he's like, listen, girl, let's go party. All right. So he's like, okay, well, I'm going to go back inside and get myself ready. So she goes into the diner, right? And she's like, yeah, I'm going to party. So then she just goes to you could tell guys wrote this shit. I think I say this almost every horror film. You could tell guys wrote this shit because this fucking Lana goes to the restroom and she's like, pull up her hair. It's like, yeah, I'm going to party. And then she just rips her fucking top off so we see some tits. Like, I doubt that actually happens in real life, but I loved it. I was like, that's how I picture 80s transactions of going to parties like.
Yeah, all girls that are getting ready just whip out their tits to look in the mirror. Yeah.
She is so excited to party that she's just gonna rip her fucking top off to show the mirror the tits. All right.
Yeah, maybe it happens. I don't know.
Oh. So our boy Billy, while he's waiting, all right, he's like, oh well, I got some cocaine here. All right. Let me just start snorting some of this cocaine. It's like snow flurries up your nose. That's a line from him. And he had a Budweiser can there too, brother. Don't tell me it wasn't. I saw it. So we got the Budweiser has made its return on the Friday the 13th series. All right. So Lana's still getting ready. She gets scared. She hears a cat. And now Billy's like, fuck, this girl's taking so fucking for long. And I was like, bro, I feel you. You know what I mean? Our boy Billy, he's ready to go out there and dance and fuck and do more cocaine with this hot blonde. And he's just saying, what is taking so long? So he's like, he gets out of the car for a second. Hey, what's taking so long? And then he gets axed back in the fucking bald spot of his head. All right, by the killer.
Yep.
Cocaine flies everywhere. Cocaine flies everywhere. So Lana's coming out. She's finally ready. She brings the cat out. She puts the cat back in. She's looking for Billy. She thinks it's a joke. Says it's cold. Gets into the car.
Sees the cocaine.
She sees the cocaine on the floor. She's like, oh, okay, well, might as well.
Yeah, so she starts snorting it up off the floor.
Yeah, on the floor. And then she sees the killer's feet.
Yeah.
With the blood. And she gets all freaked out. And then the killer comes over to her. And she gets out of the car. And then the killer stabs her in the stomach.
Yeah. Being a drug addict must be so glamorous, right? That you're just snorting coke off a dirty ass car floor.
Well, she was ready to party, bro. What do you think party means?
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Let's get this going. Uh-huh. So that's so there they go. It's such a random scene, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
Yeah. But it kind of is 2 kills, right, in 7 or 8 minutes.
Yeah, we gotta keep that count up, brother. Let's go. So now now we have Billy staring at chickens. All right. So
yes,
we had him staring at the wall earlier. Now he's staring at chickens. All right, and then of course he sees a flash of the real Jason, or Jason.
Yeah,
or flashback of Jason.
We can tell. Yeah. So this is a theme throughout this movie. He stares at a lot of people, or just stares at a lot of things.
He's a starer.
He just kind of stands around and stares. Yeah.
So now we have the governor, or the police chief, one of the two. I'm not sure which one. He's talking to Tucker now, and he's like, "Yo, we got to get this fucking kills under control. This is supposed to be a small town. You're not supposed to have a bunch of kills in a small town." And I'm thinking that's where all the kills come from.
That's where all, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, every fucking horror movie is about a small town kill. All right, come on.
Yeah, yeah, that's where all the murders take place.
Yeah, not the big cities. Those are fine apparently in horror films, but the small towns, you're pretty much fucked. All right.
Yep.
And then I'm not sure if Tucker was trying to fuck with this guy. But he's like, I have a suspect. I bet it's Jason Voorhees. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Why would you think that at all?
Because he's dead. Jason Voorhees is dead. He's documented as being dead.
Yeah, he's documented as being dead, basically. So,
and he is truly dead at this point.
Yes. And that's when the chief was like, listen, no, he's not. Like, fucking Jason's dead. We cremated his fucking body. And then Tucker's like, well, did you see it happen cremated? He's like, listen, he's ashes. So, according to the, and this will be a debate. Because, you know, number 6 is coming up. And we know Jason is dead and buried. Okay?
Yeah.
But the police chief believes that he got cremated, which would kill all of the sequels coming up. All right? You know what I mean? But then luckily Tucker saved us by saying, well, you never saw that, so you really don't know that's true. And I was like, okay, well, we saved that shit, because that would have been some canon shit right there, brother. That would have been a little hard to explain.
Well, I mean, he could have just been wrong. He could have just been wrong.
Which he obviously was. We'll get to that next week. So then he's like, listen, you go out there and find the real fucking killer, Tucker. All right? So, because he wants a real alive suspect. That's what he's looking for. Here's a good scene coming up here. So Eddie and Tina, they are flirting outside. And Eddie is, since he was booked, he was like, listen, we got to have some more sex out in the woods. All right? And Tina's like, well, I don't know if we should do that. Matt might get mad. And Eddie's like, listen, I was booked to say this, but we have to go out there. Okay? Like, listen. Well, he's gonna hurt me and fuck me. He's like, well, that's what I want you to do with me. All right, let's go. All right, so they go out to the woods, not that far from the house either. Find a nice little spot. You know what I mean? He does. Our boy Eddie doesn't need to bring beer. He doesn't need to bring roses. He doesn't need food. All he has to bring is himself. All right, and a little towel. All right, they start taking off their clothes, oh so slowly. All right. And then he fucking start pounding that girl, even though we don't see any of it. But I'm imagining what our porn director wanted to do. Okay?
Yeah, that's probably what was cut out.
So I don't know where that chicken poop guy from earlier?
Yes.
Yeah, he shows up. All right, and apparently, I thought he was going to start whacking it for him. Like, I thought for sure he's just gonna. Bro, it's booked by a porn director. Like, what the fuck? I bet you if this guy had free, like extra free range, he would have had that guy start whacking it. And then,
that's what would have happened.
So
yeah,
he was whacking
maybe.
it, right? And then he looks over, and then the killer just stabs his ass. So because we had to have a kill, apparently we didn't have enough. We had to have this guy dying too. This useless fucking character who was only there to watch.
Yeah.
He was clean chicken poop and watch kids fuck. That was his.
Yeah,
that was
for about 10 minutes, we thought he might be the killer, but maybe not.
So then our boy Eddie's finished, right? And he's all like, hey, I need to wash up. You sit there with my fucking you know what on you, but I need to go wash up. All right? So, and she's like, okay, yeah, I'll just sit here. And I can deep dive into why this would never happen, but I'm not going to I don't want to make this a super X-rated podcast. But yes. Our boy Eddie goes to wash up, and Tina, butt-ass naked, all right? She's just laying down, closes her eyes, and she looks up, and she sees the killer with some scissors, so she got scissored in the eye.
Yep.
Or he had hedges, I guess.
Hedge clippers, yes.
But technically they're big scissors, so I can still use that.
Right. They're big scissors.
I can still use the joke. All right.
Absolutely.
So Eddie, he finished washing up. That was quick. And he goes back. He sees Tina kind of like laying on her side. He's like, yeah, buddy, round 2. He goes to get her. Then he sees that she's been like, this is kind of a weird death. So, like, he used the hedge clippers to stab her in the eyes. Like, I'm pretty sure it would have done a little bit more damage than what we saw.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure it would have just, like, caved in her face, probably.
Yeah, but it looked like some Italian shit where her eyes were just all fucked up.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, he freaks out, and then he gets trapped on the tree. All right, how did you like the tree scene?
I thought it was pretty cool, like where he puts the little thing around his face. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Pretty cool little kill.
Some early Saw shit looking there.
Yes.
So, not too bad. So then we got those characters. They're out of there. All right, done. Okay. So now I guess it's like a little later at night. And Reg, he wants to visit his brother. And Pamela is going to bring Reg to his brother. But of course, Pamela is taking forever. She's talking to Matt. And Matt's worried about Tina and Eddie because they're missing. And he's actually not worried. He's actually mad now because he thinks they're all fucking somewhere, which they were.
Wish they were.
So now Pam wants to bring Tommy along because, Tommy is not doing nothing. He's just staring out in the woods. So she wants to try to, like, help him out by bringing him to go to this meet Reg's brother. All right, so they go to a trailer park. All right. And Tommy stays behind while Pam and Reg meets Reggie's brother, Demon.
So there's a lot to take in this scene. Yeah. So one, it's a trailer park because there's a blinking neon sign that says trailer park.
Yes. You're not one of those at your trailer park.
Like, it doesn't have like a name, or it's not like, Billy Bob's Trailer Park or anything like that. There's just a neon sign that just says trailer park.
Yeah. Well, come on. Yeah, duh. You don't have... Yeah. Easy. That's where it's at, brother. And then Tommy's staring at it like, he's like, why is that sign here?
Why is that sign here? Yeah.
So we meet Demon, who looks awfully like Eddie Murphy. Okay. Punk rock version. And do you know that we actually seen this actor before? Miguel.
Yeah, he was in Return of the Living Dead.
Yes. He was in Return of the Living Dead that we did last month. And he was the spider character there. So he's back here, brother. And apparently he did this movie and Return of the Living Dead kind of like pretty close together.
Yeah, he was probably filming Return of the Living Dead when this came out.
Yeah. So, pretty cool. So now they're talking, and his character was basically, hey, do you want some tacos? Hey, do you want some pizza? Hey, do you want this? Hey, here's a little ring for my brother because there's nothing good for my brother. hey, look at this hot piece of ass I got over here. She's smoking weed. And then Reg's like, oh, yeah, I got one of those too. This is Pam. She's my girlfriend. And then he's like, oh, yeah, nice. So now Tommy, he's like staring at that sign, right? And, you know, I don't blame him because, you know, those neon light signs are pretty, they're pretty memorizing. You know, you can stare at them and stare off to space. But then all of a sudden, Junior shows up. Alison's favorite character of the whole movie shows up.
Yeah.
He starts saying, he's on his motorcycle and stuff. He comes off. He starts talking a little bit to Tommy. He sees that it's the blue van. He's like, oh, yeah, you're one of those fucking loony kids. All right? My mom says she's going to chop you all up and stuff. And he starts pushing him around. And then eventually, Tommy just whips his ass, too. He kicks his ass. All right? Fucking, this guy's like a stone cold, like, whip asser. Like, he should have been on some sort of Fight Club movie or something. So Pam sees them, tells him, hey, Tommy, what are you doing? And Tommy's like, oh, shit. And he just runs away. And, of course, she grabs Reg, and they all leave. All right, and then now Eddie, I don't know why I call him Eddie, because he reminded me of Eddie Murphy, but Demon now has to take a shit because of the enchiladas. She goes into the shit. She goes into the shit box.
So there's another question I have.
Yeah.
Why in all of these Friday the 13th movies is there always an outhouse?
Because we're out
1985.
Yeah.
Or 1990 in this movie. Did people in Hollywood just think that everybody who lives in the country had like an outhouse?
Yeah. Yeah, brother. We don't got no, like fucking house shit containers. No, brother. All right? It's all about the outhouses. This is a trailer park. All right?
Trailer park. It is.
So he's in the outhouse, right? And this one is a more fancier one than normal because it's made of tin. You know, it's not wood or nothing.
No, it's a nicer one, yeah.
And what you guys will find, though, there is a lot of scenes that are like mimicked from the other movies. Like this one was obviously from number 3. Where they're shaking the whole place and everything. So the girl is his main girl is shaking the place, and then our boy Demon, he gets all pissed like, you better stop that bitch. I was like, damn, all right. And then she does a little bit again, and you can hear her like scream for a second, and he's all like, you know, hey, where are you at and stuff, and then starts shaking again. He's like, I really mean it, this bitch. I'm really gonna get you this time. So he opens the door, sees her dead, freaks out. Then we got the killer starts stabbing everywhere, and eventually stabs him right to the chest. And there goes our boy Damon, and he's gonna go back on the set of the Return of the Living Dead. And I was just thinking, though, watching this scene, I was like, bro, I bet you that this is how I probably would have got killed in a horror movie. You know what I mean? Get killed in the shitter. Sure. Godly. That's a deadly spot right there, man.
That is. I mean, that's like the worst place to be. But yeah, I would probably, I'd survive through the woods, and I'd have to go take a shit, and that's when I would die.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's would have been the fate of most of us men who take good shits, especially at outhouses.
Yeah. After enchiladas.
Yes. So now Matt is going to he's going to go look for Tina and Eddie. Okay. So Pam and Reggie show up, and they talk to Joey. They talk to Robin. They talk to Violet. And everybody's worried about everybody's missing. And they can't find Matt now because he's out there finding the kids. And they can't find Reggie's grandpa. So Pam is decided to go look for all of them. She tells Reggie to go to sleep. And she says that, Joey, hey, you are in charge of the house, I guess. So actually it was not Joey, it was Jake. My bad. Jake was there. Fucking characters all pretty much all the same. So yes. So now she leaves, and now JR, the guy who's got his ass beat by Tommy, he comes home pissed off, and like that's the only thing about this film. Like we barely have like almost any kind of like character development with these people. So JR, after getting his ass whipped by Tommy, just comes back home, rides his bike around the house, And then Ethel, she's making stew. She says, hey, come in here. She can't hear him at all. And eventually, randomly, JR just gets his head chopped off the bicycle. And everything is calmed down. Ethel's making her stew. And she's like, yeah, I thought you'd come in for it. And then this seems actually pretty cool of the killer, who is not Jason yet because we hasn't seen him full body yet, smashes out of the window and chops her right in the fucking head, and she falls down in the pan. That scene was actually pretty cool. That was a cool one. So even though these are just random, like seriously, there's like a shit ton of killings in here. It's like they are right. Like almost every couple minutes, we got to see a killing.
Yeah.
So then we get the kids, and so Pamela's looking for everybody, and guess what? Guess what?
What happened?
She has car trouble.
Somebody gets killed? Oh, yes, car trouble. Yeah.
Because we had to have car trouble every fucking part of this movie. Does nobody's car work around these fucking movies? Nobody's.
No, not around Crystal Lake. Your car will always go bad.
Yeah. So now Jake, all right, he is trying to hit up Robin now. All right, because he's like, listen, Eddie and T, they got the fuck. That was in their contracts, all right? The violent girl, she doesn't match up with anybody. I'll maybe try her later. This Robin girl is free. I've been working on her for 8 months. Yeah. All right? And it's time right now for me to tell her my feelings. Okay? Mm-hmm. But Robin, she just wants to watch the movie. All right? So then he's like, listen. And our boy Jake, he might have a stuttering problem. That's okay. But Jake's like, listen. I want to make love with you. Right now. Oh. And right then and our girl starts fucking laughing. I was like, damn, our boy Jake not getting no piss tonight. And she starts to laugh. He gets all mad saying, forget it. He leaves. And then no shit, he's all like, well, you know, Violet's in that room. Maybe I'll try with her. So she goes to the Violet girl's room. She tells him to get out. I'm listening to my 1980s fucking retro music. All right.
Yeah. So actually, I like this scene because that song that she's dancing to, I like that song a lot.
Yeah. We'll get to there. There.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, this is the scene where it has the stock music.
Yeah, it has a stock music at this part. Yeah. All right, and then he leaves the room and he gets chopped by this killer. That don't call me Jason yet. This guy. He might be a teleporter because this guy just shows up everywhere, and he knows where everybody's going to be at all minutes.
Yeah, it is really odd. Like when we find out at the end.
Yeah.
It is weird how he would just be in all these places.
Yeah, he's just there. So he cuts down Jake. There he goes. So now we see the cool scene, okay, of the band. I can never say their name right, but Pesto Echo.
The band she's dancing to.
Yeah, the dance.
Pseudo Echo. Yeah.
Pseudo Echo. Yeah, His Eyes. This is a great fucking song.
Yeah, I love this song. There's a man with no life in his eyes. I love this song. It's a great song.
Yeah, it's a great one, bro. I always play it on my Halloween list. What's that right now? Am I playing it right now? Uh-oh. Yeah, buddy.
Yeah, I'm starting to do my robot dance.
Yeah, do it, brother.
Just like in the movie. Yeah.
Doing it. Yeah, she's doing like this like robot dance, all right? While this fucking song in the background where it's playing right now is playing. And like... I don't know, man. And this song like goes with this whole movie. You know what I mean?
And
especially like the lyrics.
The actress picked this song.
Yeah. Yeah. That's enough of that. But yeah, like she picked this whole movie and she did this whole dance. Like she came up with everything on it. But yeah, so she's doing her little robot dance in here. And, you know, super cool stuff. And that's pretty cool how she picked out everything. Door opens, she looks back. We see Jason, and we actually, I keep saying Jason. Well, we know it's Jason, but we don't actually see who the person is yet. And I like it because the music is playing, and you can see like his little bloody, bloody knife and everything. And then he eventually goes and picks her up, and he kills her Michael Myers style on the fucking wall. So during all this stuff, Reg wakes up. Okay. And okay, so we didn't talk about this one scene. So Reg gets put to sleep, okay, and Robin, she goes upstairs and she's kind of like, you know, a little. She takes her shirt off, so we see her tits, and she's talking to herself a little bit in the mirror, saying like, I kind of fucked that one up with Jake, but oh well. So she goes to sleep. She turns around. She sees dead Jake right beside her, and this is when we get the Friday the 13th style kills of killing somebody underneath the bed.
Yes, happens a lot.
Happens a lot, brother. We've seen it in almost every film. Bed.
It's weird that they have so many beds that are tall enough that you can get under them.
Yeah. Well, you know, that's how they were made.
And still not be seen.
Yeah. That's how the bunk beds were made back in the 80s for big killers to come up and kill you behind them. So now Reg wakes up. All right. He gets lightning or something. He looks around. He thinks he hears Tommy, but he doesn't see Tommy. And then he eventually goes into the room. And then all the dead kids that we have killed in this house are all laying. Excuse me.
Gonna make it there in the struggle bus?
Woo. I'm all right now. So all these dead kids are on the bed, all laid together. Nicely laid out on this bed. Reg freaks out. He runs into Pamela. He's like freaking out. Pamela just kind of like brushes him off a little bit. He says, "Hey, go look in there." Pamela looks in there. We see some lightning. She freaks out. They try to escape. Go ahead.
A couple of things about this scene that I thought was weird. One, I literally, when she was backing away, I literally thought that she was going to back away and then like say like, "Oh, I didn't see anything." Like, what happened to the bodies that were just in there? There's no way you could get them out of there in time.
Yeah, no, exactly. But now she saw them.
They did it. Yeah, but she did see him. But like, so what is he doing with all these bodies? Like, is he just carrying them around with him, or like, how does he get all these bodies in that room? And did he just put them in there, or have they been in there a while? Or
so the
happened.
The supposed killer, because we haven't seen yet what he looks like, is super strong, and he's quick as well.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I guess so.
Yes. He's been doing a lot of training for this day. All right. So they're about to escape, and then, of course, now we see who the killer really is. He pops out of the door, and it's actually Jason.
Yep. But his hockey mask is different.
So that's not the only thing that was different, though. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So the hockey mask is different because if you look closely, yes, you see the little blue triangles, except for the normal red triangles.
Right.
All right. And if you see, too, his outfit was different as well because he was wearing a Michael Myers jumpsuit compared to wearing his jeans and that long green sweat button-up shirt.
Yeah.
So we have two differences over here with this Jason. So he's like, you know, we finally see him appearing, and now he's trying to fight everybody. And, of course, the Pamela and Reg, they are fucking fast. All right, kind of like our girl Trish from the final one. They're just fucking quick. They should have like a marathon with these two people on them. So they run out of the house into the forest. They see a little medical ambulance, or an old school one, very old school.
Yeah, very old school.
Pop it out. Some dead guy in there. I think it was the guy from earlier that said pussies to everybody.
Mm.
They get freaked out. They see Jason again. Reg just gets out of there. He's like, "Fuck, bitch, I'm out of here." Pamela's like a little slow. So she falls down and stuff. And then Reg escapes. All right. And then they both kind of lose each other. All right, because Reg was too much of a path, like too quick. And of course, when Pam was walking around the woods, she looks over and she sees dead Mike or dead Matt on the tree. Yeah. And his character just died off screen. So we're just like, fuck it. So does that count as one of the kills, I guess?
I guess so, yeah.
I mean,
we see his body.
So is it more than 20? I mean, fuck.
No, I don't know. Many. I didn't actually count them.
So he's dead. So now Pam goes back inside the house to try to find Reg. And then out of nowhere, boom, the window cracks open. Somebody got flown like every other Friday the 13th we've had.
Through the
window. And it's actually the dead grandpa now. I was like, fuck, they killed the grandpa? Damn. He's killing everybody in this fucking
Nobody's
film.
Safe.
So now Jason's in there stalking Pam. We don't see Reggie. He's gone. And we have Pam. She's going towards the barn Tell me if that sounds familiar. Jason 3. All right. So they're back at the same, I don't know if it's the same barn. It looked like kind of like it. But they're at the barn. She's going there. Jason is about to stab her with the machete until Reg comes out on a tractor and tractors down or pushes Jason backwards in the tractor. And they go ahead.
No, I was going to say that at first I thought it was kind of unbelievable that Reggie would know how to drive the tractor, but he did live here, so maybe he knows how because he lived on the farm.
Yeah, he lived there on the farm with his grandpa and everything. So they stare at him. They kind of go up to him. They do a horror movie trait where they like see if he's dead or not. And of course, Jason's not. Grabs Reg's foot, and he eventually escapes. And they go to the barn. Okay. And then out of nowhere, Jason's like looking around the barn and everything. You know, this is when we get really clear shots of how his outfit's a lot different. If you paid attention to the, so, you know, we had in this movie, we had the dream Jason that Tommy would see. And then we would have this Jason. Yes. And if you compared the two, they both look different.
Right. Which I think was cool.
Yeah.
Because, you know, because you think of this movie as just being cheap and it has like a cheap ending, but they really did make them different.
Yeah. And I thought they did a good job on that too. Like doing all these like subtle hints and everything.
Yeah.
So now Pam is now out of nowhere. She is now fighting this Jason with the chainsaw. All right.
Yeah, this is not possible. I hated this scene. There is no way that you would be able to hold up a machete to a chainsaw. It would fly out of your hand. Absolutely would fly out of your hand.
So this chainsaw ran out of gas after the little fight.
Of course it did.
And she just throws it at him, which I thought was funny. And then she just runs up to the top of the to the barn. That's where Reg was at. And then out of nowhere, out of the shadows, Tommy shows up, brother. And
yeah, because you're kind of led to believe that the killer might be Tommy, right?
Yeah, I guess.
And then so either Pamela or Reggie says Tommy, as if he's talking to the killer, but then Tommy's standing in the doorway where he comes out of nowhere.
Yes. So we're like, oh, it's not Tommy. Maybe this is the real Jason. Yeah. And then they start staring at each other.
Yeah.
And then we hear all these voices in Tommy's head telling him to remember. I was like, he has been remembering. He's been whipping everybody's ass in this fucking movie. I was like, what the fuck?
Yes, he's never forgotten. I don't know how he's supposed to remember.
Yeah. I was like, okay. So, like, he just, like, froze into fear, and this fucking Jason just, like, chops him down.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So they're all screaming, hey, Tommy, come up here with us. And then eventually, like, so, like, Tommy goes, so, like, after, like, so Tommy, he gets chopped down from Jason. Then he uses the knife, and then he uses a little pocket knife they had from earlier, and he pocket knives Jason's leg. And then he runs up there to the top of the barn. All right. So I'm thinking, it's like, okay, we just saw this Tommy whip these guys' ass. And now he's, like, running away from Jason? Like, why didn't he just whip his ass?
Right.
But I guess maybe...
It doesn't make sense.
Maybe because Jason's, like, has some psychological thing with them, so I guess. That's the only thing I can think of.
Maybe. Or maybe it's strategy, but he's the only person that's ever been able to kill Jason.
Yeah. So now Jason gets back up. He goes on top of the barn. He sees Tommy just laying there. Okay. And then he eventually is looking around. He sees Reg. And then he tries to, like, attack Reg, but he's behind, like, a part of wood. And then Pam comes up behind Jason and starts, what is it called? Like, fucking smacking him around with the steel pipe. And then the camera just shoots to down below, which is just a random bed of spikes.
That are just there.
They're just there.
I think they call that a harrow.
A harrow? Yes.
Yeah, you attach it behind a tractor, and it's like a tiller, like it churns things up. But anyway.
So Jason gets the better of Pam, and then Reg just, like, knocks him down. And we see Jason kind of falling a little bit. They think everything's okay, but Jason hung on to the edge of the barn, grabs Red's foot. Tommy wakes up. He gets up. He grabs the machete, chops Jason's hand off, I believe. And then Jason falls with the whole mask falling off of him. It just so happens when you chop somebody's hand from a barn, the mask that you're wearing falls off.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, we got all
Always.
that. Yeah, because that makes sense. So then he falls onto the, what'd you call it?
Harrow.
The harrow. All right, gets stabbed. All right, and then we see that it was all a swerve. It wasn't the real Jason at all. It was our fucking Roy guy from earlier.
The ambulance driver.
The ambulance driver. And not only did he have a new outfit and the Jason mask that he made himself, he also made like a mold around his head too, to like give him the whole bald look.
That's the only part that I don't like.
Yeah.
So, because they had to do that, right? Because if he had hair, we would know it's not Jason.
Yeah, he could have just shaved his fucking head.
He could have, but then if Roy all of a sudden started showing up bald for no random reason.
That's true. He could have worn a toupee.
He could have, right, that's true. He could have worn a toupee. But yeah, and then, yeah, so he molded a mask so that he would look like the deformed Jason and fool the audience. And then, but the mask ripped in half and his hockey mask fell off. And turns out it's Roy who was doing all the killing. And
just like we would have saw in TNA Impact back in the day, we had this big reveal and we just cut to a different scene.
Yep, and it's all over. We don't talk about it or mention it ever again.
Well, we kind of talk about it. So we see a girl.
Well, very little.
We have the girl filing her nails now because now we have Reg and Pam in the hospital. Okay? Mm-hmm. So Tucker shows up. He asks how they're doing. Pam's kind of like in shock. He's all like, hey, guess what? Like, we found the Roy's wallet. And apparently, Joey was the son of Roy. All right? And he never told anybody about this. And I guess he never even told Joey at all. Okay? So he was always now the Tuckers explain what Joey was, what Roy was. He was a very quiet guy, barely talked to anybody. Okay? And he never brought up a son at all. I guess he never took care of the son. But then when he actually saw his son chopped up into pieces, he went mad. And we also, guess what? We also found these clippings of Jason Voorhees newspapers as well too. And he looks like he was trying to use these trauma that he had from a son that he never talked about or cared for, nothing. And he now used that to kill a bunch of people and blame it on the Jason murders.
Yes. So that's the part that I think is weird. Like, I mean, I guess you're right that if he didn't really have a lot of contact with his son, then maybe it would be a little different. But I just feel like his reaction to seeing his son murdered like that would be different.
Yeah. So
he just kind of no-sold the whole thing.
Well, it was weird because so he knew who his son was, and he had a picture of his son at the age that he died in his wallet. Yeah. But he never tried to talk to him maybe or help him out any? Like, okay. But then when he saw him dead, he's weird. Like, oh, well, fuck. This society I should be pissed off at society now for a son that I didn't take care of at all. Little far-fetched what they were doing over here, but, yes. Okay. And I thought, you know what I thought it would have been better, all right, was we just had a random cult of Jason lovers. You know what I mean? Of people maybe the Roy guy, he knew his son, but he knew Roy wasn't mentally capable of taking care of him. Okay. Mm-hmm. But then when he saw his son dead and he was already part of this Jason cult, he was like, well, fuck, I'll just use that towards my anger at these kids. Something like that. But
yeah, like it could have been better. But I mean, but the idea originally was that every movie from now on was going to have a different killer, right? Yeah. That's originally what they wanted to do.
Yeah. So, yeah, like we were talking about on the Who Booked This Shit. So basically, what they want to do is they wanted to revamp the new series. Obviously, it's called a new beginning.
A new beginning.
And the way they kind of wanted to bring it back to how Friday the 13th was supposed to be where it was going to be just a random story on Friday the 13th, you know, that there would be like a new killer every movie. All right. But because this movie wasn't booked that well, they basically didn't get a lot of praise. There was a lot of criticism for this movie. So that's why, you know, the next one we're going to talk about is that we got to bring Jason back, brother. He's the star. Jason back. He's the draw, brother. So
yep, he's the draw. He's the top. He's the top baby. The top, not the baby face. The top heel. Main event.
Main event, brother.
But
there's more.
Yeah, so
there's more.
No, well, I was going to say this movie. There's more than the movie. But I was going to say that this movie is made more like the first movie, where you don't know who the killer is, and it's more like a murder mystery.
Yeah,
kind of.
Yeah,
just not made as well.
Yeah, you got it. Like I said, I mean, it really was a new beginning because they were trying to revamp the series to take it into a different direction so they can keep it going. Okay. And the scene I'm going to talk about will mirror that as well, because we have Pam visited Tommy in his room. Okay. And they're staring at each other like they're about to go fuck. I was like, okay, where did this come up? And then out of nowhere, Tommy just stabs her with a knife and starts laughing. And then he wakes up from a dream. Okay.
Yep. So this one ends with a dream again.
Well, hold on. No, we're not done yet. So he wakes up.
Right. No. We're not done yet.
So he wakes up. He's all dreaming, and I guess he's like freaking out. So he gets up out of the bed, and I don't know how this is possible. Okay, but somehow Tommy collected the killer's replica Jason mask, and he has it with him.
Okay. Well, wait a minute. He sees Jason though.
Yeah, he sees Jason, and that one disappears in his dream.
Yeah,
and then he gets to the to this drawer, and he stolen evidence of the killer Jason mask. Like they weren't fucking gonna. I don't know how he even got into his drawer in the hospital when he was passed out.
Why would they allow him to have that in the hospital? This bloody Jason mask.
Like, even if it was okay, we get it. It's not the original Jason mask, but it's still a crime scene evidence, and he just randomly has it in his fucking hospital drawer.
Yes.
Where they're just like, hey, we don't need that here. Tommy, you want to keep this? This might help you with your scars.
And nobody notices. The nurses don't notice that he has it in the drawer or anything, apparently.
And so he puts it on, I guess. Pam comes into the room to check on him in real time, and now Tommy is behind her with the mask trying to stab her, and then that's how we end the movie.
Well, we hear the window break. Remember, we think Tommy jumped out the window.
Yeah, that's right. The fake window break, and now he's behind her, and he's about to stab her.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
so now was the next movie originally going to be Tommy was the murderer?
I guess. But so what I'm guessing here is, yes, I think they were going to go with the theory that Tommy is eventually going to be turned full circle into the actual killer. And that's what the next movie is probably going to be about, until this one got bad reviews and stuff. They're just like, okay, well, we'll just bring the motherfucker back.
Yeah, like it's... I mean, this movie is good, but the ending is pretty bad. I don't like the ending at all.
Yeah.
It should have just ended like where they killed the killer and then found out that, oh, this is Roy. He must have gone insane because he saw his son chopped up, and then that would have been the end of it.
Yeah, something like that. But, you know, like almost every horror movie at this time, we had to have a cliffhanger, brother. Even if the cliffhanger has nothing to do with what's coming up next. So, but everybody, that has been Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning, here for our first review of October. And boy, we have a shit ton of stuff we're going to be doing in October, brother. So
yeah, we're just getting started, really.
We're just getting started, man. So the schedule for this month is insane. All right, so obviously next week we're going to be doing Friday the 13th, Part 6. Jason lives. He's back. The real Jason from the grave is back. And the way he comes back is pretty hilarious. But those ones should be pretty fun to talk about. Of course, we have the New Blood coming up.
Yeah.
And we have Jason in Manhattan.
Ooh, that's going to be a special one.
It's gonna be a crazy one. That is gonna be a special one. I got a special for that one.
Yeah.
And of course, this month, like we always do, we are going to be doing a special Lights Out for all you wrestling fans out there. Because last year we did the battle of the Halloween Havocs. We did 1998 and 1992. And this year...
And we tied.
We tied, actually, which is crazy.
Yeah.
This year, I don't believe so.
Time limit draw.
But, yeah, time limit draw. Double count out, brother. But this year, I have challenged Alison to watch and to debate the 1999 Halloween Havoc, brother. Full Vince Russo era. It's going to be great. And you have done which one?
1994.
So he has challenged me to 94. I've challenged him to 99. Which will win at these Battle of the Halloween Havocs? Can't wait to do that.
We will see.
And that one
will see.
And that one will probably be released on the 24th. And just to let you guys know, since we did the whole Friday the 13th series and we've done the whole Nightmare on Elm Street series in the archives, we will be coming back for a special Lights Out Halloween episode. Which will drop on Halloween, talking Freddy versus Jason.
That'll be something else.
And of course, the Retro Blood before Halloween, the 29th, is going to be our special Retro Blood Halloween episode, which that one I'm going to keep a mystery from you guys because it is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. But Alison, that's enough. Oh, by the way, YouTube, I'll have a bunch of Retro Blood shorts on there, bites on there. Join us on the Facebook, the Instagram, like all that stuff. All the links to all that is below on the podcast description page. So click those links on there, follow us, give us a review, tell us how we're doing. We always like to hear from everybody. But Alison, what Slayer song are we going to get out of here on?
Let's go out of here with Necrophiliac. I think it fits this movie pretty well.
It definitely does, brother.
Yeah, Roy's next step was going to be fucking some dead people, I'm sure. So let's do it. Got here with Necrophiliac by Slayer.
We don't know if he fucked that Tina girl. We don't know.
He could have. Yeah, he should have. Probably.
She was there naked. You know what I mean? Like,
and she only had eye damage.
She only had eye damage, brother. Not of the other one. So you never know. See what happens. All right, everybody. This is Jay Alison, James Kline. We will see you.
See you guys.
In my mind, the horror lives. The deep inside. Relentless loss of rotting flesh. Disaster to see life. Teething horror, Satan's trap. I've been so denied. Buzzing down the street of light. The soul cannot be free. Not given the chance to rot in hell. Satan's cross points to hell. The earth I must not come on. The passion goes to beat your paw. Throws the blood inside us. Feel the earth going deep. Fuck the simple call. But that can make the picture so light. Drink demonic love. The fire of the strong from within. Face of a undead lust, lose some taste my dark soul.